going on, YouTube? It's Pretty Well Prepper coming to you tonight, talking about what is SHTF. This question has probably been answered a million times on YouTube. I'm going to just give my 2 cents in today. It really starts with pretty much recognizing the possibility of a situation, pretty much preparing yourself for the possibility of the unknown. That's when you run into people like preppers. A prepper is an individual um, or a survivalist that is self-reliant, um, doesn't rely on anyone else to take care of them or as their family. They take care of themselves and they have the means and the resources to do so. That would be considered a prepper. And a prepper is most likely prepared for an SHTF type situation. And an SHTF type situation is normally going to consist of a number of different things, and I'll give you a list. You'll be able to see all the different types, and there's many more SHTF type situations, but I'm going to break them down into just a few. Pretty much it's going to start with either weather, some type of economic situation, war, or sickness. Now, in this country, you will probably hear a lot of talk about the economic issue of SHTF in regards to the possibility of the dollar crashing, the stock market failures, inflation, housing market, the auto industry. All these things can play a big impact on our everyday lives, whether or not we have a job, whether or not we have funds and resources to provide for our families, whether or not we can have a place to live or we lose our homes. These things all can happen in the blink of an eye in America. So we talk about economics because these things can definitely play a part into where your next meal comes from. Whether or not you're living in a beautiful two-story home with a game room, big screens on each wall, or you're living in a box under a bridge. So you prepare for days like this. You save, you have the resources available financially, you have food available, you have ways to protect yourself, and you just take all the safety precautions and place yourself in a position to be well taken care of. Aside from the economic possibilities of an SHTF type situation, you have weather. And if you take a look at America over these past few years, you've heard a lot of talk, especially Al Gore has spoken a lot about global warming. And if you really pay attention, there's been a lot of flooding in the South, say places like Louisiana, um, Texas, of course, Oklahoma, Kansas. Gets a lot of tornadoes. Weather has just been really playing a big part in our society lately, and it's really destroyed a lot of lives. You have a lot of people completely displaced just because of weather. And when you're properly prepared for a weather related event like hurricane or flood or tornado, this is the ways that you prevent an SHTF type situation. Not to say that they won't come, but you are prepared for it. In the midst of everyone else's struggle, you'll be able to thrive. And that's what you want. That's the purpose for the preparation. That's the purpose for being able to recognize an SHTF type situation. Now, you also have my third situation will be mass sickness. Man, we've had these things go on over the years. There was the AIDS epidemic. They talked about how this was doing so much to our society. This group of people had it. This group has it. It's just things are going crazy. Now we're being introduced with Ebola, being introduced with Zika, SARS epidemic over in overseas. I mean, we got to take into consideration that these things can hit our waters and then be on land here in America any day. So you definitely want to prepare how to, protect yourselves, your family, your children, your all of your loved ones, even your pets from being susceptible to these type of things. If there's any kind of available medications you want to make sure you have available. Um, you want to make sure that you're well protected when it comes to sickness, because you want to avoid those at all costs, because that can kill you and your entire family just by being in contact with an infected party. So you don't want that. We also have utility failure. That kind of can go back into, the economic portion of it. But what if the lights went off one day? What if you hit the tap and no water came out? Or it's wintertime, the gas doesn't come on and it's extremely cold. What do you do when you don't have running water, lights, gas to keep your water warm when you're in the midst of the cold, harsh winter? And these things have a tendency to hit during the harshest of situations. What do we do? Do you have a water reserve in your home? Do you have bottled water? Do you have medical supplies? Do you have um, fuel to be able to, um, power a generator? Or do you have propane in the event that you do need gas to cook? Do you have any of these things? Because if you do, that would mean that you are a prepared person. You had the foresight to be able to protect yourself from the elements. Now, with that being said, what you want to do is also consider the possibility of one thing that we all don't want to happen, but it is inevitable, and that's going to be war. So what do we do on the day that we have terrorism plaguing our country? And on top of it plaguing our country, what about if it actually was able to hit our shores? What if you saw Afghanistan right here in your own backyard? Are you prepared for that? Are you prepared to have the enemy marching down your street and you're unable to protect your family? Do you have necessary means to protect yourself and your family, or your neighbors, or anyone that needs your assistance? Do you have anything like that available? That would be truly an SHTF type situation, to see an enemy from a foreign country traveling down your street, kicking in doors, taking hostages, slaves, throwing you into concentration camps. And do not think for one moment that this couldn't happen. Not necessarily saying that a foreign country could do this, but living in a police state like we live in now, who's to say that the government won't just take control of the people and just take all of your guns? And once all of the guns have been taken, that's when they move in and start taking you. So what do you do under these circumstances? Do you live with it and just hope for the best, or do you prepare for an SHTF type situation? So you got, utility failures and your economic system, dollar crash, all these things can take place. You have your war, you have people like Al Qaeda, the Taliban, ISIS that you have to deal with. You have Vladimir Putin and Russia you have to deal with. Whether you have hurricanes on the water for a whole season, rampant flooding any time of the year, tornadoes, unexpected sicknesses. Who's to say when the next virus or something is going to come out that's going to really sweep the nation or sweep the world, especially like Zika is right now, causing devastation in the Caribbean and Hispaniola, causing terrible birth defects in children. Are you prepared? Have you prepared yourself for that SHTF type situation? I hope that you are. This is just my take on what an SHTF type situation is. You take a look at it for yourself, evaluate whether or not you are prepared. Have you looked at your preps? Have you consulted anyone that can assist you with taking a look at your preps and seeing what it is that you need to do? Just at least prepare yourself to have the bare minimum. At least have you a couple 100 pounds of rice and some beans and some water around, just in case worst came to worst, you didn't have the means of supporting your family financially. You didn't have to wait in a bread line. You don't want to have to be begging for water. Just be prepared. consider the things that I've said. Again, I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. I'm back on the normal scope of my channel's conversation. This is Pretty Boy Prepper. I'm hoping that you enjoy the channel. If you like this video, if you would, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, check us out on Facebook as well. Again, like I said, it's Pretty Boy Prepper, just talking about what I'm talking about, and I'm out.